Hi, I'm Aditya C. Gaudru. I got a score of 591 out of 600. That is the 6th rank for the state.
I scored 590 on 600, which is the 7th rank in the state.
I got 589, the 8th rank in the state.
I got 588 out of 600, 9th rank in the state.
I scored 588 out of 600 with 9th rank.
I got 587 out of 600, 10th rank in the state.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Meet the Stars. We are fortunate to have with us a bunch of youngsters who've done phenomenally well in this year's Karnataka PU Board examination in science. And come, let's listen to them, hear from them. What did they do to do so well and do magic in their PU2 examinations? So we have with us Rachana. You want to tell a little bit about yourself, Rachana?
My name is Rachana Munjay Nayak and I did my PUC from Deeksha main campus. I got 589 in the PU board exam out of 600 and that was the 8th rank in the state.
Fantastic, 589, amazing marks. My time, these are marks you never dreamt of, and I have a bunch of kids who are all 580, 590 sitting over here. Fantastic, Rachana, congratulations. Spurti?
Yes, I am Spurti SH. Even I am from Deeksha main campus. I scored 588 out of 600, which is 9th rank.
9th rank in the state.
Yeah.
Fantastic, wonderful. Vibisha?
I'm Vibisha Dwarkanathan. I studied 2nd PUC at Deeksha Indranagar. I got 587 out of 600 and it's 10th rank in the state.
10th rank overall in the state. Now, it's not that only girls are cracking the PUC examinations. We have an equal number of boys on the other side as well who've done fantastically well. Start with you, Satvik.
My name is Satvik Kulkarni. I study in Deeksha Indranagar and I scored 590 on 600, which is the 7th rank in the state.
In the state, 590, fantastic. And Yatin?
I'm Yatin. I did from Yelahanka campus. I got 588 out of 600, which is 8th rank, which is 9th rank in the state.
9th rank in the state over here. And lastly, we have Aditya with us.
Hi, I'm Aditya C. Gaudru. I got a score of 591 out of 600. That is the 6th rank for the state.
591, amazing, man. So it's very nice listening to these children scoring 587, 88, 90, even a 591. So I'm sure many of you all over there will be asking, hey, what should I do if I also want to get a score of 590 plus? Yeah, 590 plus at the PU2 examination. Eminently doable. Many kids here have done it. So let's open the floor for them and say, hey, if you had to say to your juniors, what do you need to do to crack and get 590 plus? What are the 3-4 top things you think that they should practice or put into play to be able to crack the examination?
First thing would be presentation of the exam paper.
Presentation
Of the board exam
actual board
paper,
exam.
yeah.
So for board exam, that's hypercritical.
Hypocritical because those teachers are correcting hundreds, maybe dozens of papers a day. So they don't want to spend time on your paper, and the easier and the neater you make it for them to read and to see what you've written and to tell them that yes, I know what this question is asking, the easily they'll give you marks.
They want to give you marks, you just have to give them reason to give you
Yeah.
marks. You write neatly, they feel motivated to give you all marks. Okay, wonderful. And you had a handwriting naturally that was good, or you had to work at it to be good?
From when I was 7, I've had a really good handwriting.
So you're lucky. You're lucky.
I'm
Your
lucky,
handwriting
yeah.
was
But
good.
I'm also a neat freak, so there's like 3-finger space and lines between answers.
So it reflects in the paper.
Yeah, and then diagrams in the middle of the page with labeling on the exact right side
nice.
in line, and it's all
Nice.
carried over from ICSE. So
Great. How many of you all over here actually wrote your paper very neatly? Is that something common all of you all have done? Yes? Aditya is an exception over here. Okay. Tell me more about your presentation, what you all did.
Even I give importance to neatness and presentation, because the moment the teacher notices the paper, the neater it is, the more confident they are that you have a thorough knowledge about the subject. So try to reduce the scratches, this thing.
So striking out, you generally
Striking, yeah,
minimized it.
yeah.
Did you underline important points?
Yeah,
Did you do stuff
especially
like
for
that?
English paper, it's always advisable to underline the keywords.
Keywords,
Yeah.
you do that,
Do
underline the
that,
keywords. And then starting in a new page, you draw lines after every question.
Which side?
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's what. Tell some of the good practices. No, I don't know. Long
everything in
time since I
points.
did.
Writing everything
Points.
in points instead of a big
Points.
paragraph.
except in English.
English you should do in
Except in
paragraph. So in sciences, bulleted points is better.
Yes, very much.
So it's easy. 5 points are they give it. Okay, 5 marks they take it and go
Especially
forward.
descriptive answers in biology where they require a huge description, just mention everything in points.
And then indentation. Like if they ask describe some system or something,
Yeah.
put the heading, points, then subheading, like indent it.
And then write the explanation.
yeah.
So the points stand out immediately. The
like
5
how you
points
do
are
a
there.
PowerPoint presentation,
Correct,
so
correct,
if you
correct.
present it in the same way.
So the whole idea being that for the teacher, immediately they know what you've written. That this is the 5 points are there, the keywords are there, and three lines are there after the keyword, so they are inclined to give you marks. And
Actually, so they won't even check for the lines. They would only check for the keywords what they have written. For some topics, there are specific few important keywords. If you write them and underline them, however bad the handwriting is, they'll give
You are
the
a
marks.
proof of that.
Yeah, I am the proof of that. Unluckily, my handwriting is very bad. Even my parents told me, "Oh, your handwriting is very bad. Improve it, or else you get less marks in PO." But what I found a solution for that is I couldn't improve my handwriting. Oh, for God's sake, no.
Correct.
So I underline all the keywords what are the important for the topic, and I just put the lines between questions. That's it.
Oh, I think that's a very powerful statement over here. So even if God has not been kind to you and your handwriting is not so good, there still is hope for you. Bullet the points, mark the points, highlight the points, and job is done. Very nice, very nice. Wonderful. Vibhisha, I've not heard from you.
No, I mean like my handwriting is okay. It can be improved. So what I used to do is that like be ready. You can waste how much ever pages you want. Don't worry about the space. Write big when you're writing
legible.
legible, so that they don't like, at least they know that you know something. And then like especially in English, I left lot of paragraphs because so that like because it's all clustered, right? They can't distinguish because you can't write bullet points also.
In English, you can't do
write.
that. Yeah.
So leave paragraphs and lines also. So it makes it more like presentable.
It highlights the point.
It highlights the thing. The English teacher will also be happy with you, and they'll give you marks.
Wonderful, wonderful.
And the order of the questions does not matter, especially in English. You can leave the 4 and the 6 marker for the end. Finish the entire paper, the grammar part, and then in the end you can take all the time you want and write the long answers.
So
As long as you write the whole main together, it doesn't matter where you write it in the paper.
the main can be moved later on, no problem.
To
But
save.
the 4 and 6 markers do a little later once you're warmed up, your hand is also writing smoothly, and finish off the grammar, the shorter answers, and complete it up. And write neatly, write bullet points, underline the points would be very interesting. Okay, one is presentation. Very important for PUC, you want to get the 590 plus. What else? Couple of things you want to
We
advise
have to
them.
look at previous year question, like toppers papers. Like we get an idea like how to write it. And also we have to master the NCRT, that is the thing.
That's a must. NCRT, absolutely no getting away from it. You can't just memorize question banks.
Yeah.
You have to go to NCRT. And why?
The new paper pattern, they literally ask everything from every nook and corner of NCRT.
Especially the MCQ and the fill in the
because
blanks.
like the previous year pattern had like one word answers. So even if you write something, they can give you a mark somehow. But MCQs you can't. Either you lose it or you get it.
And I heard this time chemistry was a little tricky with the MCQ. MCQ was trickier this time. Really had to go through every page and paragraph to figure out where they're asking from. So be very thorough with the NCRT. That is true for all subjects, or that's true for some subjects? All subjects, yeah. NCRT is a must. Master the NCRT. Nail. How do you master the NCRT? People say it's a very boring book, right? I read it and I fall asleep. It's so difficult to understand, sir.
Read it in pieces. The teachers, when they do one topic or one day's
One
class
concept,
is basically maybe a page or 2
Correct.
pages in the NCRT. So the same day go home, read that part, and usually when you do it in pieces like that, it's easier to read the NCRT than if you go one day before the test and say, I'm going to read the whole chapter today.
So you're saying, and you also told me earlier, you pay a lot of attention in class, you're very attentive in class. So pay attention, write down your notes, then read the NCRT the same day. Then the NCRT becomes easier, and then before the exam you do a second or third review of that.
But the NCRT is not required for physics and all. If you know the topic, NCRT is not at all needed for physics. If you have a complete thorough understanding of the topic, what is the concept, NCRT is not required. Even if you don't do it, you can get a very good score in
You
physics.
can get 100 or 100 in physics, so 98, 99 you can get in physics.
If you know your concept very well. Even for maths, if you know the concept very well, but NCRT you can use it as just as a practice, question for practice. But if you know the concept thoroughly, there's nobody stopping you from not
So
doing it.
I go to IIT class or NEET class and get my concept very thorough in physics, for example. But then just because of that, will I get 99 in my physics, or I have to go do some question banks or previous year papers, something I have to do, right?
You need to do those, but you need not sit and study the entire textbook.
You don't need to memorize
again.
NCRT, that's not necessary.
Memorization is only needed for inorganic chemistry and biology, that's it.
Okay.
Other things are very logical. And
If your concept is clear, you can ace the PUC exam also.
yeah,
There's no problem with that.
there's no need to worry during like there's 1 week for the exam, then you need not worry, oh I haven't studied NCRT but I know my concepts well, what shall I do now, shall I sit and waste my time reading the NCRT? There's no need for
That
that.
worry is not there. So important point, if your concepts are clear, you will do very well in PUC, you don't have to worry. It's not that you got to sit and really rattle the NCRT. If your concepts are clear in the sciences, you can definitely manage the POC exam also. Okay, good. So, write neatly and then do the NCRT, make sure all the MCQs are done. 2 points. Third point, anything else?
I'd like to add that the PUC is such a board where you always get a standard set of questions for subject. Doesn't matter how bad you are, you will get one, no, or at least some 3-4 minimum, the standard set.
Same,
So
guaranteed.
I'll give an example in chemistry solid state. There's a
Packing
packing
efficiency. Packing
efficiency.
efficiency.
Only 3 we have to, or 3 types, and they
One
always
will
ask.
ask, one will
Always
definitely
ask.
ask,
And
yeah.
even for physics, the derivations, those big derivations, there's always like one standard probably
4,
from
5
ray
of which
optics.
one will come.
Yeah.
One
Will
optics
come.
mein ek aa jayega. हाँ.
So basically, the takeaway is even if you're very bad at the concept, there's always some standard set of questions which will save you.
So just make sure you get them,
get those
learn
right.
them, and then get those right.
And you can score. Then just the 1 markers will be
the ones
just
where you
the
can
part.
be tricky, but
Yeah.
the 5 markers actually are marks in your pocket.
5
They're very-
markers are the easiest.
very
of
expected
everything.
questions.
Very predictable.
Also, we can, instead of working harder, we can work smarter. We can check for the blueprints. You can see for the blueprint, they'll mention this mark in this lesson, this mark question will be asked. So you can check the lesson what
I think
may
the
be
Deeksha
asked.
manual has
Yeah.
a blueprint at the start of every chapter, right? So you know whether it's 1 mark, 3 mark, 5 mark, you know what is going to come.
The 1 markers are harder to predict, but
No,
5
that for the
is
5
almost
and 3
guaranteed.
markers. 5 and 3 markers, you can check the blueprint. So if you can plan there, see out of 8, if there are 6 questions, they'll ask you to write 4. You can choose your lessons before even writing the exam. Oh, I'll learn this, I'll go.
So did any of you actually skip some chapters? And
Yes.
this is an eye opener. I want to hear more about it. Which chapters and which subject did you skip and still score 90 plus?
No, sir, I just focused on the model question paper.
Okay.
Saw that, like, as he said, out of 6, if it is only to answer 4,
Four.
I read only those 4 chapters.
In which subject? In all subjects?
Yeah, like maths, no, I read
Okay,
everything.
huh.
But like in physics, chemistry, where derivation part and all, I couldn't learn. I didn't have time at the last moment, so I just went with that.
Wow. So tell me in physics, which chapter you chose not to go through the derivations?
Like last few chapters, I didn't get
not
it
very
right. Like I
comfortable.
left semiconductors, I left electromagnetic waves.
So you knew the question will come in option, I'll leave it
Yeah,
off,
yeah,
you
I'll
dropped
leave
it
it.
and you focused and you
Yeah.
got that.
Even in chemistry, I left chemistry in everyday life, polymers. I think I left it.
Polymers is optional.
Optional. How about you? I saw a lot of hands going up over here.
Same
What-
thing for chemistry and physics,
Yeah,
like
same.
looking at the blueprint, we can predict what chapters are going to come. So if we choose our best 4 chapters and if we master those, then it's
3
definitely
mark, 5 marks will be guaranteed. Only for 1 marker you have no all
marker,
chapters.
yeah. 2 markers.
1 marker no choices this time. So only there you need to know all your chapters. But otherwise for 4, 5 markers, 3, 5 markers, aram se choose your chapters, nail it and you're done. Very nice. Okay, good eye opener. So look at the blueprint very carefully. Yeah, and that's there in your manual. In every manual the blueprint is called out. Okay,
Before
then
the
what
exam,
else?
they'll release it.
The board will release
They'll
them.
release they say they change the blueprints
Yeah.
actually. So that is over there. How about old papers? Was that helpful? All of you, how many papers do you think one should do before the PO exam to say I'll do
I
well there?
think
You didn't
it's
do any
no.
mock papers except the preparatory
Yeah,
exams?
yeah, same.
2.
Because
That's
the
it.
questions are very expected, that's why. Because you know it's probably going to be the same thing even in the previous one.
So someone get the feeling you guys were not studying for PUC very seriously.
No.
I verbally went through the question papers. I didn't write them and do them, but
You
I
reviewed it.
Do I know this answer and can I answer this? That sort of way.
So very clear message. If you are studying hard for either engineering or medicine, you get your concepts right, do that well. Little bit of smart studies before the exam, you guys can ace the PUC. Very clear message. I'm getting that from you all. Yeah, that should give a lot of hope for the juniors out over there. Yeah? Okay, wonderful. So any other suggestions? I want to crack 590.
I'd like to add in chemistry, the paper is designed in such a way that if there's a big 5 marker, everything's subdivided into many questions. So I'm just telling the juniors to just read every question properly
And
because
answer every
there are
point.
too many lines and there's high probability that you skip. I even remember skipping one, 2 questions because I couldn't read it in that
A, B, then where
congested,
D. You answered D.
congested area. So that's just
Especially in
one thing.
chemistry.
Yes,
Read the
especially
paper very
chemistry.
carefully.
Because physics and bio, they're just one
A
big chunk
numerical-
for 5 marks. They just give it off. But chemistry is a very subdivided.
They have 5 A, B,
questions.
C, D. You
Yes.
have to answer
So
all of
it
them.
gets very annoying to check which is the question.
And you're not allowed to write anything on the question paper in PU. So you can't even tick off
What
the
I
question.
finished, what I've completed. Even with pencil, you're not allowed to. No marks is
A
allowed.
guy in my class in the same room got in trouble for ticking questions.
He just ticked what he's done.
Yeah.
Oh, and what did they do?
They called
him
in
up?
some supervisor and he got yelled at.
Oh,
This
all
is
during the
bio
exam.
exam.
During
yeah,
the exam.
During the exam time.
load of wealth of information.
The other thing is also time management. You shouldn't waste too much time on the 5 markers or 3 markers. So before coming to the exam, you have to set in your mind, okay, I'll do 10 minutes, I'll complete the MCQ, 5 minutes for fill in the blank. If you set your time like that, it will be easy to manage it during the exam. Or else, if you take a lot of time on one main, spend a lot of time on one main, the next main while you're going, you see the clock, you'll be panicked. Oh, what shall I do? What shall I do? There's no more time.
And usually 5 markers are which in the middle of the paper, start of the paper,
End of
paper.
the. But I do it at the beginning.
Oh, you start off with the 5.
Five markers.
Everything for you is opposite. I got advice over here, finish off MCQ, finish grammar before coming to 5 markers. And here is, I'll start with the 5 markers. How many, let's hear that philosophy. How many of you all start with 5 markers when you start the paper?
I leave a page, 2 pages for the MCQ and then I'll start with the 5 markers.
Oh, you leave space in
Yeah,
it's not necessary,
no,
right?
the MCQs have to come at the beginning.
First page.
Oh, first 2 pages have to be
Yeah.
MCQ. So you leave it and you.
I started with the 5 markers.
You've been very non-conventional. Yeah?
And there's
very
some
interesting.
rule that you can't scratch the answer. Like if you scratch the answer in the MCQ part, they won't consider it at all.
Yeah,
Your
if you
entire
scratch it and
mark will
write the
be
answer
scratched.
again, they won't consider it.
Oh,
So you have to write it at once. You should be sure of it.
correctly without striking, know it, write it and keep going
You
on.
have to write A, B, C, D and what that option says. So the option as well
and-
as what it says.
Oh, so you'll say, suppose pathogen, you'll say B and pathogen, you'll read it out.
So
Okay.
actually his point is good. So leave those 2 spaces, write all the other the marks, and then aram se write, choose the answer and write on those first 2 pages. So
Okay, but all of you all, other than him, anyone else left 2 pages and went on to the others? No, all of you all started with the 1 markers, right? You finished it and went on over there. Anyway, wonderful, lovely. Let's get a little bit into the subject discussion if you all don't mind. So let's break it up into 3 parts. We have the core subject, which is PCMB. Then you have the languages, which I think is the trickier one. Everyone is kind of struggling with languages. How do I manage? How do I do well? And then you have English. Yeah. So we'll maybe start with the core subjects. Any tips and hints on the core subjects? How should you study for the core subjects with the PUC perspective? And just for me to know, you are looking for medical, so
Yes.
you are studying for the NEET exam along with it. Engineering,
Medical.
medicine,
Engineering.
engineering. So you're balancing both the studies were happening, competitive studies were going on. So how do you study for the core subjects for PUC to get a 90 plus, 99?
I mean, see, like you already study enough for competitive, so that's enough. But then the part you need to learn is how to write your answers in the board. Because like see, you'll know the gravitation formula or whatever electrostatic force formula. But when they ask you in the PU exam, you have to elaborate on that. You should know how to elaborate because that's what they're looking at.
So you should know how to tell the story around the formula.
About that, that's the thing.
To write the story.
And if your concept is clear, you can write PU easily, but they also require a few keywords like from NCRT that you have to make sure.
Make sure those words are captured.
Yeah.
Where do you find those words? How do you learn those words?
They're there in
Teachers
the-
taught you concept.
They're there in the Deeksha question bank.
The critical
The
points
critical
that have to be
points are
captured.
usually there. Otherwise, you can find them anywhere. If you look at past year toppers papers, those points people usually underline them.
So
you
review
can
the
look at
earlier papers of toppers to see where they are highlighted, where they've underlined. So you know these words you should also capture. If they say explain Coulomb's law, you'll write the law, but then make sure these 4 points are underlined, inversely proportional, underline it, and the 2-3 things which are there. You'll put that over there, okay?
My teachers already taught me the format, what to write, what not to write. So example, they told me wherever there is a diagram, draw the diagram. Even if it's a 3 marker, draw the diagram.
By
They would-
default,
draw.
If the diagram is there in the book, it has to be reproduced.
Yeah, draw it. If it is simple, easy enough to draw it. And whatever theory is there related to that, write it. If you have time, write it.
Yeah, but that becomes another problem. People write much more than what is necessary.
No, not too much about that topic. Like Coulomb's law derivation. Some people write. I know the derivation. I can finish it in half page. But for PU, if you want good marks, you can write it 1.5 page. You can extend it completely. Like example, if you instead of writing the mathematics of the formula directly, you can expand it. Let's take this as something. Let's take this as something.
Consider two charges in vacuum.
Yeah, that is very
this
important for
will be a
PU.
part,
If you write it, the PU, okay, chalo, 5 marks mil gaya.
And every time you write a formula, you have to explain what each of the
Each term
terms in
is,
the formula
That's very
mean.
important, yes.
And
Any
put it in a
term has to
box
be.
and then.
Yeah.
Put a box and say R1 is this, R2 is this,
R2,
G1
yeah.
is this, just write it down. That's very, very important there. Okay.
And like constants, you write the value. Like if they ask capital G or K 9 to 10 power 9, write it down.
Write the value.
Yeah.
Oh, that is
Standard
write
values.
Value with unit.
With unit.
Like unit, if you don't write, they'll cut your
You'll
marks.
cut your marks. Yeah, that's
Definitely.
commonly where kids lose
Yeah.
marks
Yeah.
in PUCs, you forgot to put the units.
Units. Even for numericals in physics, in the final answer, the unit should be written, or they'll cut 1 mark.
Do you underline the answer after you get
Box.
it?
I'll
Yeah.
put a box.
You put a box around
Physics
your
and
answer.
maths.
Huh?
Physics and maths, the
Mathematics.
final answer.
Final.
Final answer.
I used to do that in a kid, maths problem will be there, answer will not come. I'll start from the front, I'll start from the back, and I QED and put a box and say, hence proved. So, right from both sides, in between will not match, but it's all right. So you're saying, get the answer, put a box around it and highlight it is important. Anything else in the core subjects? So core subject is saying study for your competitive examinations. The core subjects will fall along the way, no problem, nothing special needed. Know your key points, learn how to write, how much to write, and then know how to write the story. That's very important. Describing the situation, putting the formula, explaining the terms of the formula, and put a box around it, job done. Anything else about core subjects?
People who study for NEET, they often, like me, ignore maths completely. For people like that, you should not ignore maths completely. Like if you study the complete week, if you for 6 days you study PCB, at least study maths for one day.
Yeah.
One day, that's more than enough. And practice NCRT.
How about for the engineering kids?
Yeah,
You're
biology.
doing PCM, what should you do
Biology.
for?
I did PCMB.
Bio CS, yeah?
I did bio.
okay.
Same problem.
You
but with
neglected
bio.
and had a
Neglected.
trouble.
Most of my classmates and friends, they've lost marks in bio.
In bio. You tend to neglect during the year, don't pay attention to it, and then suddenly realize it's very large. How about computer science?
It is.
Is it easier to score?
Yeah, compared to biology, it's easier.
So definitely between bio and CS optionals, CS is
Like
much
if you
easier.
don't want medical field, then we can opt for CS. Like some people, they require both. Like they write even NEET and JEE, so they take biology, so they'll suffer. Yeah.
Basically, if you're not a NEET student, no, analyzing the NCRT bio is it's a mountainous task because everything is just one
And
paragraph.
it takes a long time.
Biology self-study is difficult than maths self-study. Maths is just purely logical. If you know it's that's
I'm
done.
comparing bio with computer science. Computer science is generally much easier.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Just let me know, biology, how much you scored?
100. PCMB complete
100. All for 100. PCMB all for 100. With bad handwriting.
Yes.
Point to note.
Computers
Yatin?
100.
Huh?
Computers.
Computer science 100.
Bio 100.
Bio 100.
94 bio.
94 bio, and you're engineering student.
Engineering.
So you took PCM, so computer science you took bio.
Yeah.
Why?
I was not interested in computer
In computer science. And are you going to join computer science engineering now?
No,
With your
I want to join electronics.
electronics. Very close, by the way. Okay.
Yeah.
And
CS 100.
CS 100.
Biology 97.
Why did you choose biology being an engineering student?
I didn't know what to do. So everyone said biology will leave more options open, and I was considering biotech at the time, but now I'm like, I'll do CS.
So in hindsight, if you look at it and someone told you biology gives you more option, consider biology, what your advice to those kids would be?
It's not worth it.
Too much headache, too much stress, yeah?
I mean, I actually liked studying biology, just that I wasn't interested in computers. Like, the part of me is like, I'm going to study computers in future. Why not
Anyhow.
just study 2 years biology and never touch biology again?
So do you regret it or you're happy with
I'm
that decision?
happy with my decision.
So can I conclude and say that if you love biology, take biology.
Yeah.
Otherwise, don't break your
Yeah.
head on it. It's too much of a effort. Focus on computer science. It's much
Yeah.
easier to breeze your way through
Instead
it.
of love, we can say if you have an interest or
Yeah,
you have a good
interest.
memorization skill.
Okay, but if you like it, for example, if you find it interesting, then definitely you can do it. You're right, computer science can be picked up anytime.
Yeah.
But biology, if you lose it now,
Yeah,
then
exactly.
it'll always be a gap. It's not something you can easily pick up afterwards. So core subjects, clear about it. Now the tricky, controversial one, languages. So an interesting combination of kids here. 2 are from Sanskrit, 2 are from French, and 2 are in Kannada. Yeah, and when you look at the marks, Sanskrit, who are the Sanskrit kids?
100.
100?
100.
100. Sanskrit, clean, knockout, 100 on 100. French, 99?
100.
And Kannada? 96?
99.
99. That's amazing, by the way, 99. Kannada, I think, historically is low scoring, right? And Sanskrit, we all historically is the highest scoring. So if you have a chance to do Sanskrit, I guess all of you all will say take Sanskrit and do Sanskrit. Did you do Sanskrit before coming to 11?
Yes, I did Sanskrit in 8th, 9th and 10th, and that was ICSE Sanskrit.
So how was PU Sanskrit then?
I studied day before the exam.
Honestly, a piece of cake, yeah? And you write in English, I assume, right?
Yeah,
A lot
most of the
paper
paper is in English.
in English over here. So Sanskrit, how about you, Yatin? Have you done Sanskrit in 10th or
No,
doing
I did-
Sanskrit the first time?
I did Hindi in 10th, so this is my first time.
ICSE Hindi.
ICSE Hindi.
And you'd not seen Sanskrit before?
No, no.
And you took Sanskrit in 11th standard and you got 100 in 12th PU examination. How easy or difficult was it?
I think for a student who has done Hindi previously, Sanskrit should be easy. I mean, similar to Hindi, so not much of a difference. Half of the paper is in English, you can score there. And the other half, grammar part again is easy. It will come from the textbook. So if you're thorough with the grammar, that is done. And the remaining part, maybe just 10 marks, last 10 marks, slight
So
push.
you're obviously happy with your choice, you got 100 in your Sanskrit, but if some student comes to you and says, sir, what should I do? I'm a Hindi student, should I do Hindi or Sanskrit? What would your advice be?
So if you're very strong in Hindi, you can go for Hindi. But I wasn't very strong at Hindi, so I thought Sanskrit would be a better option.
That's the normal situation. Most of us are scared of Hindi. Generally terrified of Hindi, which somehow passed the 10th examination, gets 70-80%. So a person who's done okay in Hindi, who's scared of Hindi, can also do Sanskrit and do very well.
Yes, yes.
Okay, wonderful. So Sanskrit 100 is much easier.
Yes, yes.
French, you have a 99 and 100 here in French. Any of you all done French before?
Yes.
Both of you have done
ICSE.
ICSE French. And having done French, how easy or difficult was French?
One day before the exam, we study is
Your
enough.
cakewalk.
Literal cakewalk, yeah, very simple. So you never stressed about it or worried about it, because one thing people say is when you switch from CBSE to a state, in PUC you got a language, and that becomes a big worry for them. But what you tell me is if it's French, you've done French before, you come French in PU, it's basically inconsequential. Likewise in Sanskrit also. If you've done Sanskrit before you come in over here, you don't waste too much time on Sanskrit. Before the test you study, you're able to manage and to go on with it. If you didn't do some French in 10th standard, if you've never done French before, would you recommend someone to take French or not?
No, not really.
No, like you have to put your effort.
Yeah.
Then you have to study.
Yeah.
Then it's a worry. It's something new, you have to study about it. You can't just breeze through it.
It won't be hard, but then it's not worth your time spending so much time on language when you can do that to your core subjects.
So rather take a language you can easily manage and get through with it. Okay, and then we come to Kannada. Yes, 96, 99 in Kannada. So definitely a mark less than what the others have got in Sanskrit and thing. Having heard them, do you think it would have been better choice for you in 10th to switch from Kannada to Sanskrit?
Not at all.
No, not at all.
I'm more comfortable in Kannada than English and other languages. So,
Okay.
and I've been studying Kannada from the very beginning. So, I'm very comfortable in
Kannada.
writing. And also, you need not put that much effort into
Now, how
studying
difficult is Kannada? People
It's
generally
not-
say this nightmare. I get very
no,
scared
if,
of Kannada.
if you can make a good conversation in Kannada, it is easy to write in Kannada. All you need to have is you need to write fast in Kannada because, and you need to be ready to face some pain in the hand because
What do you mean by that?
the hand will completely ache by when you finish an exam for 3 hours.
Oh, you have to write so much.
Yeah.
Was the
that's
case
right.
for you also? Your hand was
Yeah.
paining at the end of the 3
Yeah,
hours?
well, while writing the weekly test, these French, Sanskrit people used to leave the classes early. You'll be sitting at the end of 3 hours still writing the answer. Oh, it's not completed, it's not completed. I'm still in my writing my essay in the final part.
So you have to write much more.
Yeah, write much more. But if you are comfortable making conversation and just reading, studying, and you can understand the stories well given in the Kannada textbook, it is
It's
more
not
than
that
enough.
difficult. But were you comfortable in Kannada in school or?
Yeah, from the beginning I was comfortable.
So you're always
with
very
Kannada.
comfortable.
Yeah.
But suppose I have a student who is struggling with Kannada throughout school. What should he or she do?
Then he has to go to these other languages like Sanskrit.
Sanskrit would be
yeah.
the better way to go.
Or else if he's ready to spend the time, then it is fine.
But they have to study it. You have to
Yeah.
work at it and study it and to go.
Not as much as the other people say, but a little effort
Yeah.
is required.
But I think this is what determines your rank finally, because everyone gets very good marks in PCM.
But if you
It's your
can
language
cross,
that separates you out, right?
but if you can cross 90 in any language, it is more than enough because if you are getting like 100 or 99 in the core subject, that is what matters in the.
No, but
the
I'm
thing.
talking about getting a rank in PUC, what 590 plus. That's the discussion. You guys have done it, right? So if I want 590 plus, I can't get 10 marks short in Kannada. I can afford to lose 2-3 marks in Kannada. 97, 98 I have to get, which is easier in Sanskrit or maybe French than in Kannada over here.
But you need not to break your head over it. Oh, I'm not getting 98, 97. If you get above 90, 95, that's more than
that's
enough.
more, absolutely, that's more than enough over there. Any other points on languages you want to add?
Everything comes from the textbook. Whatever was there at the back of the textbook, the long question answers, the fill in the blanks, everything
Exactly the
comes
same. Huh? So the
we
web,
used
the web
guide
version.
or the Deeksha material, and that's all.
Just read it and just went through the questions and the same things only came. Same in Kannada as well?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they only has the
Takes from
textbook
book.
question.
Only
Yeah.
textbook questions. So that way you're clear about it.
Yeah.
You know the book, you know the question answer in the back, guaranteed.
And if we know the story, that's enough. We can write it
You
on
can
our
write it
own.
down.
Yeah.
That's why he said if you're good at conversational Kannada, you can put your words together, then you can build it up and add it up over there. And French?
French, it's kind of because there's no literature first in French.
Is there a book or no book in
We
French?
have
a
a
book.
textbook, but then that's very grammar based. So if you don't know your grammar concepts, you will struggle actually.
So,
So
coming
there's-
without a French background is tricky.
It's a little tricky.
So there are a lot of grammar questions in French as opposed to other languages, and there are less number of like very factual based questions.
You also have a viva, I think, in
Yeah.
French.
Yes.
You don't have in Hindi and Kannada. French, you have a conversational
you
viva.
have to, like,
20 marks, 30 marks?
80-20 French.
20 marks comes from there, huh?
So you have to like talk properly, and then also you have to read. Like also, even though it's English, a little bit words, the pronunciation changes.
Correct, correct.
So that you might find it difficult.
It's a nightmare how the language works. So if
Exactly.
you don't have a background, then
then it's
fine.
trickier to do that over there. Wonderful. Finally, English. What is your advice on English? How do you just get to know the marks in English, if you don't mind?
I got 95.
95,
96.
96,
94.
94,
94.
94.
96.
96.
So 96, 94, that's the range everyone's got. No one's got 100 in English, right?
No.
Okay. Secrets for English. What should you do? How should you do English?
Don't leave it for the last minute. Just like if let's say there's like a month before the actual exam, start working from then along with your PCM. Because if you rush it towards the end, you will get your own stress that, oh, I didn't study this, like, and you'll feel bad in the end. Because like let's say you get about like 70 in English, be like my average is so
Drop because of
yeah,
English,
like
and that's
you-
happened in many cases. That PCM is 95, but English is 75, 80, and it pulls your overall average down. But like you said, in core subjects, there are fixed questions, 3-mark questions, 5-mark questions. I can drop 5 chapters, but still I'll score it. Is that true also in English?
No.
English, you can.
The
you
main concept is that it will be the same for all the exams. The approach and the view on that will be different for every year. But the topic and the main focus will be the same thing.
Yeah, but can I afford to say, you know, these 3 poems, I'm going to drop it here, doesn't
No,
matter.
no.
No, you can't do that
You
in
have to
English.
compulsorily answer, I think, 2 questions from poems in the 4 markers.
Compulsory. You have no choice about it.
But what you can do is, for this poem, I will prepare this answer. Whatever question comes, I'll write this. You can
And
do
it
that.
works?
It works. Not for the longer ones, but there's I think 3 that are only, I think 4 stanzas or 5. For that it'll work.
Whatever
One
answer you
standard
give, one
answer,
answer for all
everything.
any question from that poem.
Yeah, writing answer for the poems is easy. You can be as abstract as you want, or you can be as
And
pinpointed
for
focused as you
poems,
want.
poems you have to quote from the poem, just by heart 2 lines. Every single answer, write those 2 lines. In the middle of the page,
Write the
center
2
it
lines
in
and then
2
write the
lines.
general story afterwards.
General
Yeah?
story, 4, guarantee 4 you'll get.
Very
out of 4.
interesting, okay.
Like also in English, there are like some 2-3 chapters. They'll always ask those 2 chapters.
Guaranteed.
Guarantee those 2 chapters will come. The rest they keep changing. So study those chapters and go. Like don't take a risk. for
Because you
that.
know questions are definitely
Yeah.
coming from there.
And normally prose, if it's very big, there's like some you can actually divide the prose into a few sections from which they'll ask one question and they'll make like multiple variations of that same question. The answer will remain same, but the
So
question
the
will be
prose
very
has got 5 pages, of which 3 parts you can break it to, and there'll be one question coming from the first part, which will be reworded, but the answer is the same.
Same.
Yeah, okay. And
like
then second
there was
and
one
third. Where do you get these questions from?
from the Deeksha manual. Of,
Manual has this exhausted enough, all the types of questions are
and even
covered
if you
over there.
see like the questions, there'll be a lot of variety of questions, but the answer will remain same. You can pick up the sentences. I think this is same from all
So
questions.
the answer you can plug it in,
Yeah.
no problem at all.
And the more you quote from the textbooks, the more words you use from the textbook, the better it
They
is.
appreciate it, huh?
And underline all the points, because they don't want to read the whole story.
So
the
how do you
whole day.
underline? You write and then you take an underline, as you write you keep
No,
underlining.
write the
Write
whole
completely.
thing.
Then you scan
If
with
you have
important
time,
points.
if you have time.
And you underline using a pencil and
Yeah,
a
pencil.
ruler?
Pencil.
Yeah, with a ruler also? No, just with the hand underlying. Okay, not with red ink.
No,
Underline with the
no red
pencil.
ink at all.
Because the invigilator uses red ink, so you don't want to mix it up. Okay, good. Any other hacks for English?
For the 6 marker, instead of writing the entire general story, for specific part they've asked, write that specific about that specific part and try to add your own opinions about it completely. What do you think about it in one way? What do you think about it another way? What message does it send?
That's very new, because generally what I heard is boards don't want your opinion.
No,
they
no,
want you
that
to reproduce what is
that
there.
is the old boards.
6 markers, they like you to express a different thought point of view.
Because you're writing more than a page and a half for that, of the board answer paper, you have to write at least a page and a half. So one
half
page
page is standard.
from that, and maybe 6 lines at least from your perspective.
But
what
can
you
that be
feel.
standardized that for every prose, this is my standard perspective, jo bhi question dalega, I'll add the 6 lines.
Yeah, you can do it.
Very much possible, standard hack possible. Make your interpretation for every chapter, keep it ready, just add it in. 6 marker when it comes there, at the end of it, plug it in.
It's usually like, should this character have done this? So this character could have done something different. The story could have gone that way.
And then add a photo answer you want to give. Okay, that's very nice. Okay, interesting. And English, how long did you all study for English? One is you said start a little earlier, but how much time did you actually have to need for studying English?
Before the exam, 1 month I started.
1 month you started reading. Only English or along with all subjects you were also
All along
reading?
with all subjects.
So you kept studying English.
Like every day half an hour.
While taking a break from other subjects,
Do
English.
Okay, and that is more than enough?
Yeah, every day half an hour to 1 hour is more than enough.
Sufficient about it. And you had about 2 unit tests in English you had during the academic year? 2 or 3 you would have, maximum 3 you would have had. That also the day before you studied, I assume. But board examination the month before you start looking at it. And you wrote the preparatory exam, English all of you all wrote. English language, all of you all wrote that. How useful were the preparatory exams?
Very useful. Very useful.
Maybe we'll come to the next question, I think will be related to that. In your preparations for your board exams and cracking it, what in the Deeksha system helped you all? What do you remember, or what is it that helped you all in the journey to crack and get you the 588, 590s that are there? The test, for example. The tests being regular, that the preparatory exams and revision tests, did that help you for your board examination?
I'm a huge procrastinator. So if it weren't for the weekly tests, I would have kept it until the ultimate last minute.
And that will be huge stress then if you wait till the last minute to do it. So the revision test, the weekly test definitely helped you all.
And even the question bank was a savior.
Big savior. In which subject?
In all.
Oh yeah?
Almost all.
Mainly bio. I
mainly-
relied on the question bank
Mainly
for bio.
PCB, it was a big savior.
So very, very convenient. Just go through it, you know what's going to come. And good enough to get a 99 or good enough to get an 80? That
A
question bank.
90.
90.
90.
The 1 markers you'll have to study the NCRT.
NCRT, okay. So your 2, 3, 5 markers, no problem. The 1 marker, you've got to go through the NCRT and go through it line by line, okay. So my question is, what is the Deeksha support system that helped you allow? So test was there, question banks was one.
Question
What else?
papers were similar to board. So after we wrote the answers and then the way they were corrected, they gave us an insight to how board papers would be
Corrections
corrected.
will be
and then
done.
we were
So
able
you
to-
mentioned, for example, Vibisha, right?
Yeah.
In mathematics, you said
Mathematics, yeah. Like in competitive, you just write 2 steps and you get the answer. But math, write every single step. Like justify how you got that formula. They'll give you marks.
and if the formula, write the formula
Write the
also.
formula also, because they'll look for, especially math, you want to send to. So unless and until you give them a chance, they won't cut. So write everything so
If
that
you-
they don't cut the
If you
marks.
miss a formula somewhere, there's a tendency
Yeah.
for them to cut the mark over here. But where did you pick up these skills? It's because of the tests you wrote that you figured out how to write, what to write, because you get penalized 2, 3 times, you figured out and you started
Yeah.
learning to
We
write
used to
correctly.
go annoy the teachers. So why did you cut mark here? And they used to.
Then they explain it to you, so that then became a habit for you all as to what to write, how much to write. I see Aditya shaking his head. No. You never wrote the weekly test properly?
I wrote them properly. I got full marks. I was
Oh,
not
yeah.
much worried.
You never had to go and,
No.
and plead your case over there. Okay, good. What else was there that helped you all with it? Did you all have any mentoring or any teachers guiding you all and helping you all? Was that helpful in this
Yeah.
in this journey? In which way did the Deeksha parents help you all out?
They told us to divide, like, when to spend time for PU, when to spend time for competitive, because they were also our competitive teachers. Like,
So they helped you balance your
Yes.
time, huh? How to prioritize, when to work on it. Yeah, because that's the biggest challenge. Yeah? When do I start studying for PU? When do I start putting more effort for that? So they were able to guide you all and help you all with that.
Yeah, they were used to help in all aspects of our life, like both the emotional side and the academic side. They're like the parents outside the house.
Very nice. Please tell me more about it.
Yeah, they used to help about all the things. We have something, we want to ask something, we are finding something troubling in life, we go ask them, they help us, guide us something. They speak some few kind words and help motivate us to move
That's
on.
really nice having someone you can freely talk to, especially when you're troubled. Just someone who listen to you and give a few kind words. That's about all. And very often just you hear someone and they listen to you itself, you'll get your solutions to your problems. You need someone to listen to you. So definitely the Deeksha parents were supportive for you all in that sense. Anything else?
No, like they give you hope that you can actually do it.
And see, you're a living example of it. Yeah. The hope has been justified.
Like like in class only, like you'll be like, oh my god, everyone's studying, I'm not. Like when you talk to them, you feel like, okay, you can do it. Like if you listen to them a bit. So
Fantastic, fantastic. Any last words of advice you want to tell your juniors as we wind up and wrap this up?
Like while attempting the paper, if you're stuck anywhere or if you're doubtful about the answer, don't waste time. Leave space for it. Continue this paper and then come back to it. So that would be helpful because later on you might come across questions which are related to it, and that
give
might
an
give
idea.
you
Give an idea how to solve it. Yeah. So during the examination itself, any suggestions, tips, how to allocate their time, how to write, what to do's and don'ts?
Always attempt extra questions.
Attempt extra.
If you
If
can
they tell
attempt the
you-
entire question paper, attempt
Yeah,
it.
that's what I did for maths.
Yes,
I
you're
left
able to
only
finish.
1 or 2 questions.
For PCMB, I attempted the entire
Entire
paper.
paper you finished. Just let me know how many of you all finished the entire paper in at least 3 subjects. You done. Okay, 1 maths you finished. Did you finish entire paper any subject?
No,
No, you were.
because I was always slow, so I.
So
couldn't
what you
write
did, you
them.
did well.
Yeah.
How about you? Did you
slow,
finish?
sir. Just
So what you did well.
yeah.
But still you nailed it. Yeah. Make sure you select your questions. What's the advantage of attempting more questions?
Yeah, so if we make a mistake or miss something in writing in one question, the other question will compensate for it.
And it's not that you didn't know it, you just
Yeah.
forgot to write the step.
So-
Some step you
Yeah.
missed, you lost 1 mark.
And
But
you
over
wouldn't
there,
know that you missed it out
Yeah,
in the main answer. So then the extra ones will save.
you can save it and get
And
it
if you
over.
finish the paper in 2.5 hours, instead of looking out of the window, go back to the paper, finish the whole paper, whatever you've left, whatever you know from that, do it at the end of the
Just
paper.
write it, just
That
write
will
it
still
there.
be counted. If you get something wrong in the beginning,
This can substitute for
this
it.
will get substituted there.
And how many of you all had time actually, that half an hour before I finished the paper? Kannada, no time.
Except for English, all subjects.
You had time.
Physics, chemistry, and computers, yeah, we'll have
Enough
time,
time.
because it's only for 70.
Biology and Kannada, you will not have time.
No, biology,
Except for English and Kannada, I had time for everything.
All other subjects
I
you
finished the
had
entire paper and I still had time. I slept.
time. How about you all?
I had time only for chemistry and computers.
You could finish you could have time beyond your paper what you've done. You have half an hour
Only
time.
for English I didn't have time. Rest
Rest
others
all, so time wise it's comfortable, no
Comfortable,
problem.
yeah.
Only Kannada you have to write,
yeah,
so you'll not
fast,
have time.
like there is no time to think. You
Just
should
write. And finishing your 100
Yeah.
marks itself is going to be a challenge.
Yeah,
For Kannada, in the beginning they gave 15 minutes for reading the question paper. You have to plan it then only. What should I
Yeah,
write?
what
What should
should
I
I
write?
write?
Because there is no time to think during Kannada. You have to
Yeah.
write.
And even sometimes we'll feel like we have to write that question, or like there will be
Confusion,
options,
yeah.
right? So we have to decide while
Before you
reading
start,
itself.
yeah.
Because there is no time at all.
Once you start
Yeah.
writing, just all time spent only on
Yeah.
writing.
Sometimes you feel the 3 hours is also inadequate to write the
Yeah.
paper.
That's why these French and Sanskrit people all twiddling their thumbs up. You finish it half an hour early.
You can write the whole paper in 2 hours.
No, like the thing is that when when I was writing my paper, I was done. Everyone was finishing, had 1 hour, 1.5 hours left. And we were all sitting
And nothing to do, you had to sit
do.
there.
Just we had nothing to do.
Yeah, during the preparatory exams, all the Sanskrit, French, Hindi, people they used to walk up, go out of the classroom. We'll still be writing there, like 2 to 3 people per class. That's it.
Some Kannada people are
Yeah,
sitting,
sitting
and
there and
writing the
writing.
Kannada paper. Anyhow, I think it's wonderful. Thank you so much for all of you all sharing your times with us. I think a lot of the insights will be invaluable, and you're a great source of inspiration for all the juniors out there watching this video, learning from the stars, what they've done, and look forward to you all also becoming stars and sharing your successes with your juniors in the years to come. All the very best. Thank you so much, all of you all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you,
God bless
sir.
you all. Yeah, thank you.